The 1981 film Atlantic City is a critically acclaimed romantic crime drama directed by the esteemed Louis Malle, featuring a screenplay by John Guare. This cinematic work provides a poignant exploration of love, regret, and redemption, set against the backdrop of a decaying Atlantic City, New Jersey. Plot summary: the narrative centers around two principal characters, Lou Pascal, portrayed by Burt Lancaster, an aging small-time mobster who reminisces about his past glories while living a modest life as a caretaker for a terminally ill woman. Sally Matthews, portrayed by Susan Sarandon, a young woman employed as a waitress in a casino oyster bar who aspires to become a blackjack dealer in Monaco. Their lives intersect dramatically when Sally's estranged husband, Dave, arrives in town with illicit drugs and money, finding himself pursued by dangerous criminals. Following Dave's murder, Lou seizes the opportunity to become Sally's protector, seeking to rekindle vitality and purpose in his own life. A complex bond forms between them, characterized by Lou's yearning for significance and Sally's determination to forge her own path. Critical reception: Atlantic City received extensive praise for its storytelling, character portrayal, and directorial vision. Burt Lancaster's compelling rendition of Lou earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor. Susan Sarandon was recognized with a Best Actress nomination for her nuanced performance. The direction by Louis Malle and screenplay by John Guare received acclaim, resulting in nominations for Best Director and Best Original Screenplay, respectively. While the film was also a contender for Best Picture at the Academy Awards, it did not secure a win in any category. Legacy regarded as a classic of its era, Atlantic City is celebrated for its melancholic tone and intricately crafted characters. It stands as one of Louis Malle's most revered works and has made a significant impact on the crime drama genre. The film premiered on April 3rd, 1981, and garnered $12.7 million against a budget of $7.2 million. It maintains a 100% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and a 7.3 out of 10 rating on IMDb. Atlantic City is currently available to stream at no cost on the Tubi app. Hardly Working, a 1981 comedy film directed by and starring Jerry Lewis, marked his return to the cinema after a decade. It was his first major role since Which Way to the Front in 1970. Despite being a box office success, grossing $50 million globally on a modest budget, the film received negative reviews, criticized for its dated humor and inconsistency. Plot summary: the film follows Bo Hooper, an unemployed circus clown who struggles to adapt to life outside the circus. He stumbles through a series of jobs, each ending disastrously due to his clumsy nature, but eventually he finds a new sense of purpose, mixing humor with poignant moments. Reception: while Hardly Working succeeded financially, critics slammed the film, pointing out its reliance on slapstick and nostalgia rather than offering fresh comedic content. Lewis was also heavily criticized for his reliance on stereotypes, specifically Lewis's horrifying use of ugly Asian stereotypes. Controversies and challenges: the film was seen as a comeback for Lewis due to the film's success at the box office, especially overseas. Accusations of self-indulgence were made, as Lewis controlled many aspects of the film. The comedy landscape had evolved, with new comedians reshaping audience expectations, making Lewis's style seem outdated. Furthermore, rumored disputes during production added to the film's uneven tone. Legacy: despite criticisms and controversies, Hardly Working remains a noteworthy part of Jerry Lewis's filmography, capturing the changing dynamics of comedy during the early 80s. It currently holds a 9% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a 4.7 user rating on IMDb. The film is not available on mainstream streaming services, but can be found on YouTube through a fan upload. Hardly Working was released on April 3rd, 1981, demonstrating that even with mixed receptions, Jerry Lewis's star power and devoted fan base kept his legacy alive. Hey everyone, ready for a blast from the past? Dive into This Is Elvis, the captivating 1981 documentary directed by Malcolm Leo and Andrew Salt. Experience Elvis Presley's journey from his humble beginnings to his rise as the king of rock and roll, and witness his personal struggles. What sets This Is Elvis apart is its unique blend of documentary footage and dramatic recreations, bringing you closer to Elvis's world. The film seamlessly integrates home movies, news clips, and concert performances with actors portraying Elvis at various life stages. In the movie, explore the early years, Elvis's childhood in Tupelo, Mississippi, setting the stage for his musical journey. Rise to fame, his breakthrough at Sun Records, and electrifying TV performances. Hollywood career, Elvis's venture into film and its impact on his music. 1968 comeback special, his triumphant return to the stage. Las Vegas residency, a peek behind the curtains of his legendary performances and their toll on his health. Final years, a poignant look at his struggles with fame and personal battles. Although the mix of real footage and reenactments may seem unusual, this film is cherished for its in-depth and emotional portrayal of Elvis's life. Don't miss the soundtrack, featuring an array of Elvis's hits that trace his musical evolution. This Is Elvis is more than a film. It's a thoughtful tribute to a music icon. Since its release on April 4th, 1981, it has earned acclaim, with high ratings on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. Stream This Is Elvis on popular rental services and revisit the legacy of Elvis Presley. This is one walk down memory lane you won't want to miss. Hey movie fans, if you're into classic 80s thrillers, you've got to check out Nighthawks from 1981. Directed by Bruce Malmuth, this film is a gritty crime thriller that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Starring Sylvester Stallone as the tough NYPD cop Deke Da Silva and Billy D. Williams as his partner Matthew Fox, this flick takes you on a wild chase through New York City as they hunt down an international terrorist. This bad guy, Wolfgar, is played by Rutger Hauer in his first Hollywood role, and man, he's chilling. After things get too hot for him in Europe, Wolfgar makes NYC his new playground. That's when Da Silva and Fox, part of an elite counter-terrorism squad, get the tough job of bringing him down. The chase that unfolds is not only action-packed, but also dives into some deep stuff like the moral calls cops have to make and the heavy emotional toll it takes. So what's cool about Nighthawks? It's got awesome action scenes, including a heart-stopping moment on a cable car and an epic showdown you can't miss. Stallone really brings it as a cop torn between duty and his own morals, and Rutger Hauer, he totally nails the creepy terrorist vibe. While some critics weren't sure about the movie's pace and tone when it first came out, it's become a cult classic over the years. Fans love its raw take on city crime and that classic gritty 80s vibe. Released on April 4th, 1981, Nighthawks was a hit at the box office, pulling in nearly $20 million on a $5 million budget. Right now, it's rocking a 72% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a 6.3 on IMDb. Whether you're a die-hard fan of 80s action or just in the mood for a thrilling, thoughtful flick, Nighthawks is totally worth your time. Catch Nighthawks on most streaming platforms like Google Play. Trust me, it's a wild ride from start to finish. Hey movie buffs, dig epic fantasies? Let's talk about Excalibur, that visually stunning flick from 1981 that gives the Arthurian legends a whole new twist. Directed by the legendary John Boorman, this film is all about the mystical, intense drama and those real yet fantasy vibes that make the story pop. What's it about? It kicks off with this dude Uther Pendragon, who scores the magic sword, Excalibur, thanks to the wizard Merlin. But Uther's not the best at decision-making, and soon enough, he messes up big time. And so Excalibur ends up stuck in a stone, just hanging out for the right king to come along. Enter young Arthur, who pulls this sword out of the stone, proving he's the man for the job. With Merlin's guidance, Arthur sets up the round table, and it's all peace and chill vibes for a while. But then drama strikes. His lady Guinevere and his best bud Lancelot get a little too close. And if that's not enough, Arthur's illegitimate son, Mordred, comes out of the woodwork to stir up trouble. Themes? We got 'em. Destiny and leadership. Arthur goes from zero to hero, then kinda back down again. It's a wild ride. Betrayal and redemption. Even the best mess up. Yep, Arthur, Guinevere and Lancelot all show us how tricky it can be to stick to your ideals. Myth and magic. Merlin's dropping truths and Excalibur's got the power. Magic is in the air, people. Who's who? Nigel Terry throws on the crown as King Arthur. Helen Mirren dazzles as Morgana. Nicole Williamson brings the magic as Merlin. Cherie Lungi, Nicholas Clay, and Paul Jeffrey also star, bringing Camelot to life, the looks and sounds. The dreamy shots and lush landscapes give us all the mythical feels, with kicking armour and costumes to boot. The tunes? A mix of Trevor Jones's original stuff with classic jams from Wagner and Orff that crank up the epic level. Why it's cool? Excalibur is not just a movie, it's a cult classic. It's inspired tons of other takes on the legend. Plus, it was a starting block for big names like Liam Neeson and Gabriel Byrne. Dropped back in '81, Excalibur bagged a sweet $35 million on an $11 million budget. Today, it's rocking a solid rating on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. Craving a watch? Find Excalibur on most streaming rental services like Google Play. Trust me, it's the perfect blend of sword, sorcery and good old-fashioned drama. Don't miss out. Hey, have you caught the zany 80s flick Going Ape? Directed by Jeremy Joe Kronsberg and featuring stars like Tony Danza, Danny DeVito and Jessica Walter. It's the epitome of slapstick chaos centered around some wildly entertaining apes. Here's what you need to know. Tony Danza plays Foster Sabatini, a laid-back guy who inherits 3 orangutans from his late circus owner father. To claim a $5 million inheritance, he must care for them for 2 years. Simple, right? Not quite. These orangutans are full of personality and turn Foster's life, including his relationship with his girlfriend Cynthia, played by Jessica Walter, upside down. Adding to the mayhem is Foster's friend Oscar, portrayed by Danny DeVito, who helps battle a mob with a bizarre vendetta against the mischievous orangutans. Cast highlights. Tony Danza shines as Foster Sabatini. Danny DeVito adds humour as the quirky Oscar. Jessica Walter impresses as the elegant Cynthia. Don't forget those scene-stealing orangutans. Although initially a box office flop, Going Ape has garnered a cult following for its 80s vibe and outrageous animal antics. Released on April 10, 1981, and earning about $5.5 million, it still holds a charm with its nostalgic appeal, craving some classic laughs and adorable orangutan mayhem. Stream Going Ape on Google Play for a delightful trip down memory lane. Hey, horror movie buffs, you've got to check out The Howling, Joe Dante's classic from 1981. This isn't just your average horror flick. It's a cult hit that mixes scares with a good dose of satire, all based on Gary Brandner's novel. Critics loved it, and fans keep coming back for more. It's seriously spooky fun. So what's the story? Picture this. Karen White, played by the talented Dee Wallace, is a news anchor who's had a creepy encounter with a serial killer. Shaken up, she heads to The Colony, a rehab resort suggested by her therapist. But here's the twist. This place is swarming with werewolves. Karen's stay turns into a chilling fight for survival as she digs into the eerie secrets of the community. A few things that make The Howling stand out. The special effects are off the hook. Think transformative, terrifying werewolf scenes that were way ahead of their time, all thanks to genius Rob Bottin. It's not all screams and scares. The film throws in some laughs and sharp pokes at self-help gurus and our obsession with the supernatural. The cast rocks, with familiar faces like Patrick Macnee and cameos by horror legends like John Carradine. Directed by Joe Dante, The Howling is a must-watch for its clever blend of horror with hints of humour, not to mention the nods to classic horror films that fans will totally appreciate. Despite spawning a few sequels, nothing's quite matched the original. Released on April 10th, 1981, The Howling raked in $20 million, way more than its $1.7 million budget. Today, it's got a solid 74% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 6.5 rating on IMDb. Good news for Amazon Prime members, you can stream The Howling for free. So what are you waiting for? Dive into this werewolf saga tonight and join Karen in her eerie adventure at the colony. Hey movie buffs, have you ever heard of the 1981 flick Knightriders? Trust me, it's not your usual George A. Romero zombie fest. Yep, that's right. The man behind Night of the Living Dead switched gears with this one. It's all about drama, action, and a sprinkle of fantasy set in a kind of medieval, modern world. Pretty cool, huh? So what's the deal with Knightriders? Well, think motorcycles, except they're not racing. They are jousted on by a gang of Ren Fair enthusiasts led by Ed Harris, who's playing their King Billy. It's one of Ed's first big roles, and man, he nails it. This crew's all about living free, sticking to their chivalric codes, and keeping it real away from the mainstream. But not everyone's cool with how strict Billy is, and with all the commercial hype and rival crews popping up, things start to get a bit shaky. Billy's trying super hard to keep his dream alive, wrestling with staying true in a sellout world. It's a deep dive into what it means to lead and live by your values when everyone else is chasing the dollar. Now, this isn't just any medieval show. It's got motorcycle jousting. Imagine knights, but rev those engines because horses just got an upgrade. It's a wild mix of old school meets new school, wrapped up in themes of loyalty, dreams, and the classic art versus commerce battle. The cast is stellar too, with folks like Tom Savini and Patricia Tallman joining Ed Harris, and they all bring their A-game under Romero's direction. And hey, if you're up for a longer sit-down, it runs for 146 minutes, so grab those snacks. Initially, critics were all over the place with their reviews, but guess what? Knightriders has since carved out its own little niche of fans who dig Romero, motorcycles, or just digging into something quirky and heartfelt. Released back on April 10th, 1981, and with a modest budget of $3 million, Knightriders is now rocking an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes and a cool 6.3 on IMDb. Feeling the urge to check it out? You can stream Knightriders for free on the Tubi app. So why not give it a spin tonight? It's a ride worth taking on a couple of wheels. Hey movie buffs! Ever heard of the 1981 comedy flick, Caveman? Directed by Carl Gottlieb, this film takes a hilarious, light-hearted jab at prehistoric life. It's all about slapstick laughs, a ridiculous take on caveman living, and it even throws in a made-up caveman language that'll have you rolling. What's it about? Imagine this. Ringo Starr, yes, that Ringo Starr, plays Atuk, the klutzy caveman who's just not fitting in with his tribe. He's totally smitten with the gorgeous Lana, played by Barbara Bach, but she's hooked up with the tribe's tough guy, Tonda. After Atuk gets the boot from his tribe, he rounds up a bunch of misfits, and together they stumble upon some pretty neat discoveries, like cooking and music. It's all good fun and goofy antics, especially when they bump into prehistoric creatures like a stop-motion dinosaur. Cool stuff in the movie. Caveman lingo. The gang chats in a quirky, fictional language that just adds to the chuckles. Ever heard of Zug Zug? Watch the movie, you'll get it. Retro effects. The dinosaurs and other creatures are all done with old-school stop-motion animation. It's charmingly nostalgic. Star-studded cast. Apart from Ringo and Barbara, you've got folks like John Matuszak tossing his weight around and Shelley Long bringing her acting chops. Mixed bag of reviews. When it first hit theatres, critics were all over the place with Caveman. Some loved the wacky humour and visual jokes, others thought it was a bit too daft for their taste. But hey, it's since picked up a cult following who just dig its quirky retro vibe. Did you know? Ringo Starr and Barbara Bach hit it off on set and tied the knot that same year. Talk about a match made in movie heaven. The critters were crafted by the legendary stop-motion pro, Jim Danforth. Despite its silliness, Caveman is a bundle of fun that doesn't pretend to be anything else, a truly unique comedy. Catch it now, released back on April 17th, 1981. Caveman raked in a cool $15.9 million on a $6.5 million budget. Today, it's rocking a 33% on Rotten Tomatoes and 5.8 on 10 on IMDb. Craving some quirky prehistoric laughs? You can stream Caveman for free on the Tubi app. Check it out and join the fun. Hey movie buffs, have you caught Lion of the Desert yet? This 1981 classic directed by Mustafa Akkad takes us deep into the sands of history, tracing the fierce battle against colonialism. The cast is stellar. Anthony Quinn, Oliver Reed, Irene Papas and Rod Steiger bring the early 20th century Libyan landscape to life. What's it all about? Picture this. It's the 1920s and 1930s in Libya. Omar Mukhtar, originally a teacher, turns into a legendary guerrilla leader fighting against Italian colonization. Anthony Quinn totally nails his role as Mukhtar, a man of deep principles and cunning battle strategies. He leads the Bedouin tribes against none other than Italian dictator Benito Mussolini, portrayed by Rod Steiger. Despite being massively outgunned, Mukhtar's clever guerrilla tactics and his unwavering spirit rally his people. He's all about fighting the good fight, sticking to his guns about not harming civilians and keeping the resistance ethical. Behind the scenes, directed by Mustafa Akkad, music by Maurice Jarre, cinematography Jack Hildyard, budget a whopping $35 million, making it one of the priciest movies back in the day. Filmed in Libya with some help from Muammar Gaddafi, including a nice financial boost, the movie not only captures the essence of Libya's landscape, but also the spirit of its people. How did it do? While critics loved its historical accuracy and Quinn's standout performance, it's a bit slow-paced for some. In Libya and across the Arab world, though, it's more than just a movie. It's an emblem of anti-colonial struggle. Despite a rough ride at the box office, pulling in just a bit over $1 million on a $35 million budget, Lion of the Desert has carved its niche. It's rocking a solid 75% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and an 8.2 out of 10 on IMDb. Want to see what all the fuss is about? You can stream Lion of the Desert for free on the Tubi app. Dive into this epic saga of resistance, dignity and freedom tonight. Hey movie lovers! Dive into the quirky 1981 Canadian comedy drama Improper Channels. Directed by Eric Till and starring Alan Arkin as an architect caught in bureaucratic madness, this film combines laughs and drama in a story about the chaos of good intentions clashing with rigid systems. Imagine picking your child up from school only to end up in a minor car wreck, which spirals into being mistaken for an unfit parent due to a hospital mix-up. Suddenly, social services, led by a dedicated social worker, Mariette Hartley, intervene. What follows is Jeffrey's humorous yet heartfelt battle to reclaim his daughter from a flawed system. Why should you watch it? It offers a satirical glance at how protective systems can disrupt lives. It showcases the lengths a parent will go to protect their child. Alan Arkin's performance perfectly balances comedy with emotional depth. Released in August 1981, Improper Channels drew mixed reactions. Critics praised the performances and humour, but noted the uneven mix of comedy and drama. It grossed $1.25 million on a $3.6 million budget. Today, it holds a 5/9/10 on IMDb and is ideal for those craving 80s nostalgia and sharp comedy. Stream Improper Channels for free on YouTube tonight. Grab some popcorn and prepare for laughs, surprises, and a touching father-daughter tale. Hey Western fans, have you heard about Cattle Annie and Little Britches? This 1981 flick takes you back to the fading days of the Old West. Directed by Lamont Johnson, it features Amanda Plummer in her film debut as Cattle Annie and Diane Lane as Little Britches, two teenage girls who are totally enamoured with outlaws. Here's the scoop. Set in Oklahoma during the early 1900s, our heroines joined the notorious Doolin-Dalton gang, led by the charismatic Bill Doolin, played by none other than Burt Lancaster. Tired of the dull lives society has mapped out for them, Annie and Britches jump headfirst into a life of adventure. Looking up to Doolin almost like a father, they get caught up in the gang's wild escapades, but their innocence and gutsy moves often put them at odds with the law. It's a mix of rebellion, growing up, and a nostalgic look at the Old West. Meet the key players. Burt Lancaster as Bill Doolin, the aging yet magnetic leader of the gang. Amanda Plummer as Cattle Annie, fearless and all about that outlaw life. Diane Lane as Little Britches, just as adventurous and loyal to the core. Rod Steiger as Marshall Tilghman, he's the stubborn lawman on their tails. This film isn't just your typical shoot 'em up. It's got a dash of humour, a whole lot of adventure, and some real talk about the lives of young outlaws. Plus, it showcases the end of an era where outlaws ruled and lawmen started to tighten the reins. Despite some amazing performances, especially from the young leads, it wasn't a box office hit. But hey, it's become a cult classic for many Western lovers. Originally inspired by real-life young outlaws, Cattle Annie and Little Britches, the film takes some liberties but keeps it entertaining. Released back in April 1981, it didn't rake in the cash it hoped for, but it's got a special place in the hearts of its fans. Curious? You can check it out for free on the Pluto TV app. Who knows, you might just find your new favourite Western. Hey horror fans, get ready for a thrilling dive into the past with one of Oliver Stone's early directorial gems. We're spotlighting the 1981 spine-chilling horror classic, The Hand, featuring the legendary Michael Caine in a role that's as gripping as it is horrifying. In this eerie film, Michael Caine portrays Jonathan Lansdale, a talented comic book artist who faces a life-altering ordeal. Picture this. A disastrous accident results in Jonathan losing his hand. However, this isn't the end of the hand. Instead, it's just the beginning. The severed hand somehow gains a sinister life of its own. It starts moving with a malevolent will, creating a trail of terror. This rogue hand doesn't just skulk in the shadows, it wreaks havoc, sows chaos, and yes, it commits a series of chilling murders. As the story unfolds, Jonathan's reality begins to unravel. The lines between what's real and what's a nightmare begin to blur, keeping you on the edge of your seat. The psychological depth added to the horror elements makes The Hand a unique cinematic experience. The film's intense atmosphere is heightened by the performances of Andrea Marcovici and Annie McEnroe, with Bruce McGill delivering a standout role as the friend desperately trying to anchor Jonathan to sanity. Despite its initial chilly reception at the box office and modest critical ratings, 29% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 5.5 on IMDb over the years, The Hand has garnered a loyal cult following. It's celebrated for its innovative storyline and as a quintessential piece of 80s horror with a psychological twist. This film has become a must-watch for genre enthusiasts and fans of vintage cinematic terror. Now you can enjoy this cult classic from the comfort of your own home. The Hand is available for streaming rental on platforms like Google Play. It's perfect for those who cherish a campy 80s horror throwback. So why not make it a movie night with The Hand? Gather your friends, dim the lights, and prepare for a night of suspense and fright. It just might claw its way into your heart as your next favourite cult classic. Hey movie buffs, got a minute? Let's dive into one of the grittiest thrillers of the early 80s, Ms. 45, also known as Angel of Vengeance. This one's a cult classic directed by the one and only Abel Ferrara. Picture this, a heady mix of psychological horror with a dash of urban crime drama, all set in the rough streets of vintage New York City. So here's the scoop on the plot. Imagine Thana, a shy mute seamstress in Manhattan. Her life flips upside down after surviving 2 brutal attacks in one day. The twist, she fights back the second time, setting her on a wild path. Thana snaps, grabs the guy's 45, and, well, let's just say she starts cleaning house, vigilante style. As she dons a killer wardrobe and arms herself, no predator in the city is safe. It all spirals into chaos, leading to a heart-pounding showdown at a Halloween bash. Here's why it hits hard. Thana's fight isn't just physical, it's a battle to voice her pain without words. The Big Apple. More like the Big Rotten Apple here, showing the city's darker side, mirroring the violence women endure. It flips the script on revenge. Is getting even really winning? You decide. When Ms. 45 first hit the screens back on April 24th, 1981, it was a bit of a roller coaster. Critics were split. Some couldn't get enough of its raw edge and Zoe Lund's stellar act, while others couldn't handle the heat. But hey, it stood the test of time and holds a solid 86% on Rotten Tomatoes today. Zoe Lund was more than just a pretty face in this film. She ripped into the role, then went on to co-write Bad Lieutenant with Ferrara. Flash forward and bam. In 2014, Drafthouse Films gave Ms. 45 a makeover and re-released it, making it a must-watch for anyone who loves a good thrill mixed with a bit of art house vibe. So if you're into films that pack a punch and make you think, check out Ms. 45 on Peacock. Dive into this classic and see where you stand on the thin line between justice and revenge. Grab your popcorn and enjoy the ride. Hey horror movie buffs, grab your popcorn because today we're diving into the classic 1981 slasher flick, Night School. Directed by Ken Hughes, this film hit the scene when slashers were all the rage. Known for its creepy vibes and some seriously intense kills, it's a perfect mix of horror and whodunit. So here's the lowdown. Set against the backdrop of Boston, Night School follows a string of grisly murders targeting young women, all connected to, you guessed it, a local night school. The killer's calling card. He's all about the dramatics, wearing a motorcycle helmet and leaving the victims' heads submerged in water. On the case is Detective Judd Austin, played by the brilliant Leonard Mann, who starts piecing together the clues linking the murders to the night school. Enter the school's charismatic anthropology professor, Vincent Millett, portrayed by Drew Snyder, who's both charming and a bit suspect. And then there's Eleanor Adjai, played by Rachel Ward in her stunning film debut. She's a teacher at the school and the professor's love interest, which only thickens the plot. Now, let's talk style and themes. Night School doesn't just serve scares, it gets under your skin with its exploration of jealousy, obsession, and manipulation, all set against a moody Boston backdrop that amps up the eerie factor. Fans of Italian giallo films will find a lot to love here too, thanks to the film's focus on mystery, a masked killer, and those stylized murders. When it first hit theaters, reactions were mixed. Critics weren't shy about calling out some cliches, but let's be real, it's the unique quirks like the kukri, a Nepalese blade as the murder weapon, that have earned Night School its cult status among 80s horror fanatics. though Rachel Ward stole the show, hinting at the big career waiting just around the corner for her. The film didn't smash the box office, bringing in just $1.1 million. For those looking to get a taste of this 80s gem, Night School is waiting for you on streaming rental services, including Google Play. Don't miss out on this slice of slasher history. It's a killer watch. Hey movie buffs, ever stumbled upon Liar's Moon? It's this hidden gem from 1981, directed by David Fisher, featuring young Matt Dillon and Cindy Fisher stirring up drama in a small Texan town during the 1940s. It's all about love that doesn't care about who's got cash and who doesn't. Here's the scoop. Jack Duncan, that's Matt Dillon, is just your regular guy. And then there's Ginny Peterson, played by Cindy Fisher, the banker's daughter with a hefty trust fund. These two are crazy about each other, but oh boy, Ginny's dad is not having it. Despite the world trying to keep them apart, Jack and Ginny go all in. They elope. But just when you think they're set for a happy ending, boom, a family secret blows up everything. And get this, the movie's called Liar's Moon, right? It's all about this old legend that says this particular moon is bad news for lovers. Talk about a rough ride for our lovebirds, Jack and Ginny. Here's what makes it cool. It's got that old school love against odds vibe, like Romeo and Juliet. The 1940s setting gives it this super nostalgic feel. Plus, the soundtrack totally nails the emotional and historical vibes of that era. Critics had a love-hate thing going when it first popped up. Some were all praise, especially for Dillon and Fisher's acting. Others, though, thought it was a bit much with the drama. Still, it's picked up a bit of a cult following over the years for its heart and old-time charm. Released back in '81, Liar's Moon hangs out at a 5.9 on IMDb. But don't let that stop you. It's up for grabs and streaming free on Tubi, so why not give it a shot and see where you land? Maybe it'll be your next favourite old-school love story. Hey movie buffs, you've got to check out Take This Job and Shove It, a hilarious comedy drama from 1981, directed by Gus Triconis. Ever heard Johnny Paycheck's iconic country tune of the same name? Yep, that's where this film got its title and its vibe. Here's the scoop. So, the story's about this guy, Frank Macklin, played by the charismatic Robert Hayes. He's a hotshot exec who's sent back to his old stomping grounds to fix up a failing brewery. But here's the twist. The brewery is in his hometown, and he's got all these old friends and even an old flame there. Things get tricky when he's seen as the bad guy, the big corporate sellout. Poor Frank has to juggle his company's demands with his loyalty to his pals. Talk about being stuck between a rock and a hard place. The cast is pretty stacked. Robert Hayes as our man Frank, the exec in a tight spot. Art Carney plays Charlie, a dedicated brewery worker. Barbara Hershey lights up the screen as JM, Frank's former flame. David Keith is Harry, Frank's best bud. Tim Thomason brings laughs as Ray, the life of the party. And Eddie Albert nails it as Mr. Corporate, Franklin W. Norris. Themes? Oh, it's got 'em. It's a classic showdown between corporate greed and small-town heart. There's a whole lot of drama about balancing personal ties with work duties. And not to forget, a solid nod to blue-collar pride and labour rights. So, how did it do? Well, it really hit home for country music lovers and folks into working-class tales. Though critics were kinda split, this flick pulled in a cool $17.5 million at the box office. Not bad for a $3.5 million budget, right? And for those who dig a bit of nostalgia, it's a sweet throwback to small-town America in the early 80s. Wanna watch? Take This Job and Shove It is ready to stream on Amazon Prime. Get the popcorn ready and enjoy a blast from the past.